Good morning. Bonjour, everybody. Hi, this is Neshi. Welcome to Star Nations Organization's main fan page here on Facebook. We're trying something new. I told you I was doing some experimenting stuff, right? I'm up here at the Star Nations Academy, and every morning I do a sharing of the energy for the day using the Jamie Sams card deck, the Sacred Path. And this morning, I wanted to test out something a little bit different. You know, usually I do my live stream. They call it native live stream from my phone. And then I realized yesterday afternoon that, gee, I could use my laptop because it's a Mac, and they have I could do a live video from here. Who knew? I didn't pay attention to it. So I thought this morning I would test it out, see how it looks to you guys and how it sounds. I noticed the camera is a little bit wider angle, and so we'll see. Good morning, Margaret. Welcome to the card draw information for the morning. You know what? It's Friday, and it is May 18th. And it's another gorgeous day here. I don't know if you can see it behind because it's so bright out. The windows look like they're kind of white, but it is a beautiful morning, mild morning, and it's got a nice breeze to it too. It's a perfect late spring day in Wisconsin. So I hope you guys are all doing well today, the last day of the work week anyway for a lot of people. The card draw this morning was very interesting because two cards popped out again. I think Spirit just really is helping us to really understand that first card, because the second one, when it pops out, it gives it a little bit more, how do I want to say, the more precise information. And I'm still doing the springtime allergy thing, right? I'm trying to frame it in a way that it's more positive. I'm welcoming spring. I haven't taken anything yet, so that's only a good sign. Well, Elise Miller's with us too. Good morning, Elise. It's good to see you in the chat room. I've got my coffee. I wish it were tea, but you know what? I was going to, and I didn't. You know what? I forgot to turn off something here. Hang on. I hope I don't lose you. If I do, sorry about that. I forgot to turn something off. I'm using my laptop, and I forgot to turn off my other email rather than having it ding every little while that something's come in. So. And I ordered my Star Nations organization. I think it's a magazine. It's the one I got. Coffee travel mug. This one came as a gift from somebody who was dropping off coffee and other things to us from Dunkin' Donuts. Every once in a while, we do Dunkin' Donuts. One of our neighbors dropped something off for us. So this is the card draw this morning. We'll see how this goes. Hey, look at that. We got the correct way of the camera. That's because I'm using my laptop, right? Not too much of a glare on it. It is the burden basket, and it's about self-reliance. Self-reliance. Get a little bit closer so you can see the artwork on it. It's a basket, and it looks like it can hang, right? And it's got, looks like maybe deerskin or buckskin or fringe off from it. It's pretty. And there again, you see the colors of the medicine wheel on the card. The burden basket. The burden basket came with this one. The burden basket card came out first. And then this card jumped out. And we've had this card before, the shawl, and it's about returning home. And the artwork on this one is trying to get used to this new way of showing you. Yeah, isn't that pretty? I like the artwork. What's her name? Deborah, was it Deborah? Childers is the illustrator of the cards. The burden basket is about self-reliance. It's about self-reliance. And it's very interesting. I hadn't heard about the burden basket before. And Jamie Sams, she writes from her Seneca roots. And so she's telling us about a tradition that her people used long ago. And she says in her writing that the burden basket hasn't been used in a really, really long time. And but the elders had told her about it. And the burden basket was named after the grandmothers. I kind of like this part. The grandmothers. It was a basket that they would take with them to gather firewood, right? And so it was just enough to fit into the basket, leaving their hands free. And so with the free hands, as they're gathering firewood, they could also gather other things like berries and roots and those kinds of things. This is, long before the first European contact, and the things how it changed their life, and how wood was collected, right? So anyway, the burden basket, it was called the grandmother's burden basket, is because the elder women still helped, but they wanted to make sure, the people wanted to make sure that whatever they carried was not going to be too heavy for them. And so they created this basket that they could put on their back when it was full, and still be comfortable in walking and gathering food. The reason why this card is even in the deck is because it talks about how in those old days, in those ancient days. Hello, Don Murray. Thank you for joining us. In those early days, the wigwams, the natural homes of the people, they didn't have, like, hard frame doors that you could knock on. And so what they would do would be they would hang this basket out front of their doorway, next to the doorway on the frame. And she writes that the visitors looking to come on in, of course they just didn't walk in, and they would scratch at the basket or the door frame, right? And then they would wait to see if they were allowed in. Now, as she was writing this, and I was reading it, I realized that this is also about sacred space. And and she Jamie Sams describes sacred space a little bit broader. There's another perspective that she brings in, and that sacred space is about setting up boundaries and personal boundaries. Okay, and so as I was reading this, I was thinking, oh, that's another setting of a personal boundary. Who do you allow into your home, and when? And just because you don't allow them into your home doesn't mean that they have hurt feelings, right? It's just, you could be busy. You could be having a meal. You could be having a family discussion. You could just want some privacy, And so she writes that the owner of the home would be letting the visitor know whether or not they could enter. And once they entered, it was an unspoken agreement that the visitor would leave their burdens, their worries, their concerns, the things that that we ruminate in our minds over and over, to leave them outside the door, and that they could leave them, those thought forms, in the burden basket. And so that when they were done with their visit, when they left, they could pick up their own burdens as they were leaving, right? And so I was thinking this is a lot like when we go into a ceremony. Um, when you're a spirit doula and you're going in to help a family, we talked about when we used to do those shows about going in clean, that this wasn't about you, that all of your ego stuff had to be left outside the door, outside the home. And in a way, the burden basket is the same thing. It's the same thing. Is that when you go in to visit somebody, that you're leaving all of your baggage, all that stuff out in the burden basket by the door. You can pick it up on your way out. But when you go in to visit, you're going in a good frame of mind with a good heart, and visiting, right? And she talked about the reason why you go visit somebody, and to have more positive conversations. In other words, you're not there to gossip, and we all know what that causes, right? Such a low vibration. Yeah. And Lisa's saying another high school shooting just happened. Pray, not again. Where this time, Elise? If you could tell us, if where it occurred, we can add that to our prayers to the people in that area. So the burden basket. There was an exception, she writes about. The exception is that when you specifically go to visit an elder, to ask for counsel, advice, to ask for help. Maybe it's an interpretation of a dream or symbols that you've seen, the synchronicities, right? So instead of leaving the burden out in the basket, you've actually arranged to come and ask for help. And that is one of the exceptions to leaving the burdens outside the door, when you're coming to specifically talk to an elder about your problems, about your concerns, and that the elder realizes this, right? And she also talks about the energy exchange. Now, those are my words, the energy exchange. The energy exchange, when you ask an elder or when you ask for advice from somebody, is to give them a gift, whether it is an energy exchange of tobacco, especially with an elder. In the old days, this is how my mother described it, is that in the old days when you went to an elder, that's okay, Elise. It's outside Houston. Oh, I have relatives in Houston. Thank you for letting us know. We appreciate it, Elise. We can send our good thoughts and prayers in that direction. Yeah, to calm the fears. Maybe send some of the angels in that direction. Yeah. Thank you for letting us know that, Elise. Appreciate it. What my mom had taught me, when you give tobacco, especially to an elder, is that it should be a new pouch, an unopened pouch and tobacco. Some people don't realize that there's several different kinds of tobacco. You can get them at smoke shops, cigarette stores, that kind of place. Usually gas stations like Quick Trip and that sort, they have them. If you're near a Native American casino, usually near the casino somewhere is their gas station, and their smoke shop is attached to that. And they usually have bags of tobacco there because they know that people are looking for the tobacco for ceremonies. And so you get pipe tobacco. Don't get chewing tobacco. Chewing tobacco is meant to be moist. The pipe tobacco, and if you can get it as organic as possible, that would be good. So, Santa Fe. Okay, where the shooting is. The gifting of the tobacco is the energy exchange for the person's time, but more importantly for their wisdom. Okay. And depending on who you're going to, it could also be their gift of sight, sense, their intuition, right? So when you offer the tobacco, it's a brand new bag, it's unopened. My mother said in the old days, when you were sitting, before you gave it to the elder, you would literally open it in front of them and then hand it to them, right? And I had to ask why, why do you just not hand it to them? And Mom said that it's to prove that it's brand new and that it has not been opened or tampered with. And in the Star Nations Academy, I was just doing a live stream on Wednesday, and we talked about bad medicine and and the shamanic path, and and so this proves to the elder that the tobacco that's being offered to them is clean and it's good, right? It's unaltered. So you offer the tobacco to the elder in exchange for their wisdom. And many times what they'll do is they'll tell you, they'll listen to you for as long as you need to talk. They'll listen to you probably without saying much. Um, and at the end, when you've exhausted your explanation and your sharing, many times what they'll do is they may have an insight, almost immediately, and they'll share that with you. But most often what they'll do is they'll ask you to come back in 4 days. Well, actually, yeah, come back in 4 days, because they usually take the 3 days to do their own journey work, to connect with spirit, to find a more complete, not answer, but advice for the person asking. And on the fourth day, the person who's the seeker looking for information and advice would come back to the elder, and the elder would then share. And my grandpa, my Neshi, used to do that all the time. We'd see people coming to visit them, and I didn't know who and what my grandpa was, my Neshi. He was just this loving old man who cared about his grandchildren and took time for us, when I would watch people come in and they'd ask to talk to him and hand him the tobacco, I didn't realize that he was a seer. I didn't realize that he was a holy person, because he was just my grandfather, right? And so that was when I was really little. I can remember that, like 6, 7, 8 years old, that age. It wasn't until I was much older, late teens, that I realized that what he was capable of doing. So the burden basket. So she says, excuse me, she says it's a symbol of internal strength necessary to keep our own counsel and bear our own burdens without inflicting them upon others. The burden basket teaches us to trust the value of knowing our own answers through the connection to the Great Spirit and our medicine helpers. Now, this is so that we can form our own opinions. That's what the self-reliance is about on the card, is that we're asking our own spiritual team to help us with this before we burden someone else with our concerns. So in other words, we've exhausted everything that we know how to do before we go to that elder and seek advice. That we've come up to the point where I really don't know. I've tried the things that I do know, and I still don't have an answer. I don't understand, and whatever it is still occurring to me, right? So so what she writes about is keeping our own counsel first, and that way we're building our relationship with our spiritual helpers. We are building the relationship with ourselves, and trusting our intuition, rather than looking outside of ourselves for the answer, right? And so she's calling it the burden basket. She also writes, to have compassion for the burdens of others and yet not take those burdens on as our own. This is when you're a helper. This is when somebody comes to you for advice. She says it requires a strong heart. Strength of character is called for in order to keep them from adding to the problems of others through gossip and complaints. Great sensitivity is necessary for impeccable timing and knowing when and how to speak to others. Personal balance brings the self-reliance we need to be in the present time. Yeah, that to me, because I'm a triple fire, right? And it has taken me a good long time to be a good listener, to be an attentive listener, and to be able to master that amount of fire, right? And because I'm constantly going and doing, and so when somebody comes to me, it's not to spit out a resolution and say, here, do this and keep going, it's like, is to be able to slow down and really listen to them, um, and encourage them when they are working on their own counsel, right? Rather than taking the control. And that's self-discipline. That has nothing to do with training. That is entirely self-discipline. So the application of the card. She says, if you're carrying a burden basket today, this card is telling you to pull from your inner strength and become self-reliant. You can conquer the world when you let go of the burdens by trusting your ability to find your own answers. Problems cease being burdens when solutions are found. The burden basket also teaches us not to drop our woes at another's door. Relying on ourselves and our connection to Great Spirit teaches us to stretch into our potential. That's important. That's an important piece, is that I believe that everything that we experience is about our soul's growth. Those hard things, it's like, oh man, not another one. Yeah, that means that you're still growing, you're stretching, and it's a good thing. It's easier to take care of them and to grow into it when they're little, and not the cosmic 2x4, right? If confusion sets in and counsel is sought, use the advice. Don't waste the precious time of others if you do not intend to respect the wisdom offered. Know also that it's not your job to solve the problems of others. Don't rob others of their right to self-reliance. In all cases, we carry the burdens and we wish to carry. If it makes us feel good or important to have so much to handle, we might need to look at our ideas of self-importance. The reminder is that we are all self-reliant and must use our talents to find our own solutions. The best answer is one shared equally by all travelers on the sacred path. So she's encouraging us to believe in our intuition. She's encouraging us to seek our own counsel first, our spiritual team first, to exhaust what we know, what we can gain on our own before we turn to someone else to get their opinion, to get their advice. And in the same token is when we turn to an elder or to a healer to assist us, is to utilize the advice. There's a term about shopping around for the answer you're seeking, the answer that you want. There are some people, not everybody, but there are some people who shop around for the answer that they want because it's easier, or they think it's easier. And so that's the burden basket. Now, it came with this companion card, and we've talked about this before, the shawl and returning home. And I think between these two cards, got to go in the right direction. Between these two cards, I believe Spirit is telling us that when we go home to our center, to our hearts, that's where our answers lie. That's where all our memories are. From over all the lifetimes our soul has experienced, all our memories are sitting in there. And so we know more than we give ourselves credit for. We know more. Um, our soul knows more. This physical body, if you want to put it in the egoic sense, thinks we know. But many times, our ego self is sometimes out of balance. But it's our heart, it's their soul that really has the answers, the memories, where our life lessons led us in those parallel lives, those past lives that we know. And so relying on our higher self, our soul self, and our spiritual team is to tap that first, to exhaust that first. And then if you really cannot figure it out and there's no answers coming, is then select your elder. Who can you who go to for assistance, and that healer, you know. So I hope this resonated with you. If it doesn't, that's okay. That's all right. It was a good time spent together, right? And you can take what you feel resonates with you, and if it doesn't, whatever parts don't, that's okay. Just brush it aside and keep searching. Um, I appreciate the time that you spend with me in the morning. I do. I look forward to it. It's kind of fun. It's very fun. Now, tomorrow morning I'll be back for the next card reading on Monday, the 21st. I'm not sure how I'm going to work this out. I have to be with my mother-in-law, helping her out in the morning. I haven't decided. I might go do an early live stream to share the card with you, or later in the day. I haven't quite figured that one out. I'll let you know. Okay, so that's Monday the 21st. I know I won't be here at 10 o'clock because I'll be on the road driving at that time. And I don't think doing a live stream and driving at the same time is a good thing. I think there might even be a law against that. So, yeah, Rob Kendall, I hope you're feeling better. Elise is asking that question, if you're feeling better. Now, I do have a favor to ask those people who are on the live stream with me. I'm using my Mac laptop to do the live stream. As I started out the live stream, I was sharing that I didn't realize I could do a live stream from my laptop. And here I've been using my phone since we started doing this. And so the sound quality, the picture quality, compared to the other live streams that we've done for the card draw, if I can use my laptop, that would be like way cool. Because I noticed that the camera angle is much wider than my phone. So at least I think so. And as a plus, we get to see the writing on the cards in the right direction. It's not backwards. That's always a plus, isn't it? So Lisa's saying, thank you so much for your wisdom and sharing. Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. Really, it's Jamie Sams whose cards kind of trips the memories and the insight from my spiritual team and how that's flowing. When I got that second card of the shawl and returning home, yeah, I knew that was that knowing that, oh, this is about coming home to ourselves. The burden basket, that we can empty our own burden basket, right? And search for those answers from within rather than going outside of ourselves. So with that, I appreciate. Hello, Judy. Hi. We're just finishing up, Judy. I can share this with you. Okay, I can show you the cards at least, Judy. This is the first card that came this morning, the Burden Basket. It's about self-reliance and trusting your own intuition is what we came up with. And the second card, the companion card that jumped out this morning with that one was the shawl. And that one is about returning home. And it's about trusting our own intuition and allowing our soul to guide us rather than looking outside of ourselves. So I know it's a message that we hear quite often, isn't it? It is. So I don't know. This is the energy that Spirit felt that was important for us to know today and that I could share with others on social media. So there you go. There you have it. Enjoy the rest of your day. It's Friday, weekend starting, right? That's right. And Margaret's saying everything is great. Just use what works best for you. Exactly. Exactly. You have to honor your sacred space. You have to honor your personal boundaries, right? Absolutely. So enjoy the rest of your day and have a fantastic weekend if I don't get to see you tomorrow. And we'll see each other again. That in Potawatomi, it's Bama Mina, which means until we see each other again. Okay. Let's see if we can figure out how to turn it off. This is my laptop, remember?